שאהבת אותי עליו חטאת.
Shalom and Chag Sameach for all of you that are celebrating Yom Teruah today. I hope in YaHuWaH that you have been enjoying this day, remembering what YaHuWaH has been giving us as an instruction. Just give me a minute. I'm having some technical difficulties. So let's see if it's working now.
דברך שמבטיח לי נצח איתך על חיי עולמים בלי כאב ודמעה על שאת כוחך בליבי שמת שלומך אז הנני כאן אומר הנני כאן כן הנני כאן לשרתך הנני כאן
Okay, shalom. Let's see now if it's going to work. It's a blessing to be with you in this Yom Teruah. For all of you that are celebrating today, if you're not celebrating today, you are welcome to this broadcast, and I hope that what I'm going to share with you, that is going to be a bit short, is going to bless you when you are celebrating this Moedim as well. I have to tell you that, in the place that I am now, my internet connection is not really stable this few days. So if you see some interruption and some, image frozen again, it's because the bandwidth I have is not that good. So be patient. It's not going to be a long broadcast. I didn't feel right not sharing something with you today for this important feast. And, we need to be obedient. I have been talking to you in the Shabbat after Shabbat about obedience. And I think we need to be obedient every time that we hear the voice of YaHuWaH, and that push that the Ruach sometimes is giving us in order to serve YaHuWaH. So here I am. I want to share a few things with you. And, we have always been talking about Yom Teruah, about different meanings of the feast. And we know that the feast of YaHuWaH is a revelation of his plan of restoration for his entire creation, especially for his people. And I think hearing the shofar, I was sounding my shofar early in the morning here where I am, and just hearing the shofar is producing something within us. It's reviving somehow that hope. We were discussing while sounding the shofar here at home and also praying to YaHuWaH, is that we are waiting for the time when we are going to hear that sound on the sky, on heaven. And we know that actually I made a comment this morning that it's going to be a fantastic time, but also a kind of terrific time, because what's coming to the world is what we know is the day of YaHuWaH. And he's coming, to somehow to bring destructions for those that are not willing to follow his ways, those ones that are destroying the earth, those ones that are destroying his creation. But at the same time, he's bringing blessings, and he's bringing hope for all of us, and for everyone that has been trying and doing all his commandments and trying to get closer to him, holding fast to the hand of Yahushua HaMashiach, because his kingdom is coming. And I think that's somehow a reflection of what Teruah means. Teruah, and what we have been discussing in the Torah portion for many, many years, and also I have been sharing this in this channel. that is connected to the sound of the alarm. And let me put the scripture here in the screen just to correlate to what I'm saying. We know that this is related to the alarm. And let me just switch to the book of Jeremiah. In the chapter 4, verse 19, when Jeremiah is talking about the destruction that is coming to Jerusalem, to Israel, it says in the verse 19, "O my inward parts, I am in pain. O the walls of my heart pounds in me, I am not silent. For you have heard, O my being, a voice of a shofar, a shout of battle." And the word here, shout, is teruah. It's basically connected to the day of the alarm, the day of the sound of the alarm. So the whole context here in the book of Jeremiah is talking about the destruction that is coming. It's the sound of the alarm because destruction is coming to the city. And in this case, we know the plan of YaHuWaH, what's coming to the earth, and actually most probably we are the living part of it in these days, is that is the sound of the warning that the more destruction is coming. But we know that as soon as the evil is growing, the grace and the favor of YaHuWaH is also increasing toward his people. So in one part, Yom Teruah is a remembrance that we need to keep year by year, understanding that this is signaling a day of the alarm, that destruction, that battle is coming. And that battle is related to the day of YaHuWaH that is coming to the earth. And he's bringing his the battle against those ones that are destroying the earth, as I said. But there is a second part that is really interesting. And we discussed about that when we were studying in Virtual House Church about the book of 1 Samuel. Because we see that that's the second part of the blessing. And let me go to the book of Samuel. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 4. And let's read it entirely, because we're going to read until the verse most probably 9 or 10. So first part is the alarm, the battle that is coming, is the distress that are coming to the earth. But in the other part is the blessings that are coming by the hand of YaHuWaH HaMashiach, our expectation. It says in 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 1, "Thus the word of Samuel, was to all Israel, and Israel went out to battle against the Philistines, and encamped beside Eben-Haezer, while the Philistines encamped in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in battle arrayed against Israel. And when the battle spread, Israel was stricken by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 men of the army in the field. And when the people came into the camp, the elders," and let me put a parenthesis here, what we just read is talking about battle, is talking about distress, is Israel fighting with their enemies. And it's somehow a similar picture that what we know is going to happen at the end times. Israel being persecuted by the system of the world. Israel being in a battle, to say somehow. But we know that who is coming to fight for Israel is YaHuWaH HaMashiach with the entire army of heavens. This is what is written in the prophecies. So the picture is a bit similar. So let's continue reading just to complete the second part of what I'm trying to share with you today. So it says, "And when the people came into the camp, the elders of Israel said, 'Why has YaHuWaH smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of YaHuWaH from Shiloh to us, so that he comes into our midst and save us from the hand of our enemies.' And the people sent to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of YaHuWaH Sabaoth, dwelling between the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Pinchas, were there with the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And when the ark of the covenant of YaHuWaH came into the camp, all Israel shouted so loudly that the earth shook. So I'm gonna keep it until there because we know what's happening in the story, and it's basically YaHuWaH bringing what he said that he will do with Israel at this point. But what I want to highlight here is about Teruah. The people of Israel were shouting. Actually, the verse 5, what was translated as shout. And this is really interesting on the last thing that I'm gonna share with you today, is that is related to the voice of the people. Is the word Teruah. They were shouting Teruah because the ark, the presence of YaHuWaH, were coming in the midst of them. So in one side we see battle, but in the other side, what we see related to Teruah, we see the presence of YaHuWaH coming in the midst among of his people. Actually, there is a second verse in the second Samuel, and let's go there because this is something really, really interesting related to the same thing, the same part. It's saying in the book of Second Samuel, chapter 6, verse 15, the following: Thus David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of YaHuWaH with shouting, this is Teruah, and with the voice of a shofar. So we know what the ark of YaHuWaH represents his presence. And in this case, we see the connection with Teruah. Teruah and the ark of YaHuWaH coming, in this case, among his people. And we know in a day like this, and this is our expectation, is coming the day of YaHuWaH. But as part of the day of YaHuWaH, we are expecting the second coming of Yahushua HaMashiach. That second coming, that he is the one bringing the kingdom of YaHuWaH to the earth. He is coming with the presence in a similar way that we see in this passages, the Ark of the Covenant, with the presence of YaHuWaH coming among his people. In this case, in the plan of YaHuWaH, Yahushua is coming to establish the kingdom of YaHuWaH here on the earth. So these are the twofold understanding of this day. Is the alarm, battle, distress that is coming, but also the blessings and the presence of YaHuWaH, the kingdom of heaven coming to the earth. Today, we were reading, resting, enjoying, remembering. And part of the remembering that we were doing, we were listening to some studies. And part of the studies they were mentioning about how the Jews of today celebrate this feast. They are not calling it Yom Teruah. They are calling it Rosh Hashanah, because that's the way they start the year, and we know that it's not right. But it's always interesting to listen what they have to say about this Moedim and this feast. And actually, Jews today, they called this day not only Rosh Hashanah, they understand this day as the Day of Judgment. This is what the study was talking about today. I believe that more than Day of Judgment, because I see more connections with the Day of Judgment with Yom HaKippurim than Yom Teruah. I do believe is that Yom Teruah is more connected to the day of YaHuWaH that is written all over the place in all the prophets and so on. But anyways, they were talking and they said that they correlate somehow this day, as they said, Rosh Hashanah, with the Day of Judgment. And the interesting thing that, in an effort to understand the connection of this day with Torah, they were doing all these connections about the sound of the shofar, about the alarm, in order to understand why the elders of the Jewish people, they were connecting this day to the Day of Judgment. And just to make the story somehow short of what the study was saying, there was an interesting connection they were doing, and actually they were sharing in the study part of the prayers they used to have as their tradition during Yom Teruah, during Rosh Hashanah. And it's really interesting because they have it in front of their eyes and they are not able to see it, because a part of the prayer they were saying something like that to Elohim, you reveal yourself in the cloud. You revealed yourself coming in the thick cloud. And if I don't remember exactly what are the additional words they were saying as part of that prayer, but when they were showing this information on the study, they were connecting this prayer to what happened in Mount Sinai. Yom Teruah, we listen and we hear to the voice of the shofar. Is the sound what is making us to remember. And what they were saying in that prayer, they were connecting it to the sounding, to the alarm, to hearing the sound, connecting it to what happened in Mount Sinai, about the importance of hearing, the importance of remembering YaHuWaH by our senses of hearing His voice or hearing the sound. And it's really interesting because when we go and we check what happened in Mount Sinai, if you recall the passages, it is written in the book of Shemot, Exodus, and also in Devarim, Deuteronomy, we can see this. And actually, in that study that I'm sharing with you, that we listened today, they were doing all these connections. It is written that YaHuWaH descended on the top of Mount Sinai with the thunders, with the thick cloud, and also it was very noisy, with a voice of the shofar, that the people started to tremble because they were able to hear the voice of the shofar. But there is a second part that is really interesting, and this is mostly mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, is that they were not able to see any form. They were only able to hear the voice of the shofar very loudly, and they were able to hear the voice of YaHuWaH telling them the 10 words. So, if we understand that the sound of the shofar, and we connecting it with the meaning of this feast, but most importantly, if we connect this to our hope in Yahushua, if we connect this with the plan of YaHuWaH on what's coming to the earth, we see a complete connection to what's coming is exactly somehow what happened in Mount Sinai. YaHuWaH is coming with the sound, once again, with the sound of the shofar, making us to remember His voice, making us to remember that He is coming to bring righteousness again to the earth, that He's coming with the king that He has appointed, Yahushua HaMashiach, to establish His kingdom here on earth. And He's coming exactly with the same voice, with the same sound. And when I was hearing this, it was very beautiful, because it's just to understand that YaHuWaH is always using our senses. He was the one creating us. And He's using our senses in this case of the ability to listen and to hear the sound in order to make us remember what He's bringing. And when I was reading a few passages today, and this is the specific point that I wanted to share with you is a bit different to what we have been discussing maybe in the past. All the previous thing, it was just an introduction, but it's gonna be a very short one that I want to share with you. is that is connected to, the ability for us to remember by hearing, to remember to whom we belong only by hearing, and that should give us hope, increase our hope that in one moment in history we are going to hear not the sound of the shofar that we are sounding, that we will hear the shofar that is coming, with the armies of heaven. And that's going to be the moment that we need to be ready to remember. And I think the passages that I'm going to share with you, or the passage that I'm going to share with you, is very clear in that point. So first, let's go to the book of Thessalonians, just to make the point very clear and connecting all the dots. First Thessalonians chapter 4, and this most of the time we remember by heart, because Paul in this case is talking about the end times, and he's talking about resurrection. And he says in the verse 16 onward the following: because the Master himself shall come down from heaven with a shout. And let me, before continuing here, remember what I was sharing you about this prayer of the Jewish people, what they pray during their Rosh Hashanah, that is Yom Teruah actually. They pray, remember what happened in Mount Sinai, praying, saying, "O Elohim, you revealed yourself coming in the cloud." This is part of the prayer, in the first line of the prayer. And we see here exactly what we know, that Yahushua is coming, and he is going to be revealed himself in his second coming down in a cloud. It's the same thing that they are praying, but they are not able to see that this is going to happen again. And they are not able to see and to recognize that Yahushua is the Messiah appointed by YaHuWaH, that he is going to be the one to fulfill this exactly what happened in the past, now in our times. So, and here Shaul is mentioning what's going to happen in a kind of similar description, because the Master himself shall come down from heaven with a shout. Remember, Teruah is a shout, is the shout on the shofar. It could be a shout on the trumpet. It could be our own shout with our voice, as it exactly happened in Jericho. People were shouting in order to bring destruction and to win the battle because of the instructions of YaHuWaH. They were shouting with the shofar, but also they were shouting with their voice. And we see here that the Master will come down from heaven with a shout, with a teruah, with the voice of the chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Elohim. And the dead in Messiah shall rise first. Then we, the living, who are left over, shall be cut away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air. And so we shall always be with the Master. So then, encourage one another with these words. Most of the people take this in order to put these teachings about the pre-tribulation rapture. I think this is not to be taken only for that teaching. Is coming a rapture? Yes, I think so. It's written over there. But it's not the rapture that everybody, especially in evangelicals groups, are talking about. It's a different type of cutaway. And I think I have been sharing this with you in the past, or most probably, if not, most probably I will need to do something as part of the Last Day series. But what's the point here? Is Yahushua coming with the teruah, in the same way that YaHuWaH was descending over the top of Mount Sinai with this shofar, with the sound of the shofar very loudly, that the people was so fearful of hearing the shofar and hearing the trumpets and hearing the voice of YaHuWaH, that they were pushing. And actually, this is something they especially in Jewish groups, they are not able to see that the people were asking to have a mediator, somebody, a person, flesh and bone, to be between Elohim and them. And because of that, we have in that case Moses, but because of that is part of the basic understanding why we need a Messiah, why we need somebody to be our king, our master, in order to lead us in the way of YaHuWaH. But, in the way that Shaul is finishing this, it should give us, an additional hope. Because he's saying that we should encourage one another with these words. Encourage one another, understanding that Yahushua is coming with the Teruah sound in order to bring righteousness and the kingdom of YaHuWaH to the earth, in order to bring salvation to all his people, in order to bring restoration to all of us. So, if Yahushua is coming with the shout, if Yahushua is coming with the Teruah, and let's put this in the perspective of what I said, that Teruah can be done with the trumpet, with the shofar, but also can be done with our voices. The shout of Teruah with our voices. Let's put ourselves in the situation that Yahushua is coming, shouting with his own voice, doing the Teruah with his own voice, together with the trumpet that is written here. And keeping that in mind, I want to connect the last 2 points. If we go to the book of YaHuWaH, book of John, let's go to the chapter 10. And we're going to read from verse 27. Let's read from 27 to verse 30th. It says the following: My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give them everlasting life, and they shall by no means ever perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So, we are the sheep, and we should be able to know the sound of his voice. If we know the sound of his voice, at the moment we will hear that sound, we will remember. We will remember everything, and we will know within us that this is our master voice. So if Yahushua is coming with the Teruah, with his voice, at that moment, we should be able to hear that Teruah, and we will know that is our master, our Mashiach, that is coming, that is bringing the kingdom of YaHuWaH. So I see that those points are really important about remembering about the voice of Mashiach, using his own voice to do the Teruah, us remembering that this is our master. But with this passage, is completing the entire picture of this specific point of remembering the Teruah and remembering the voice. And this passage is written in the book of Tehillim. This is Psalms. And this is in Tehillim chapter 89. Remembering the voice of the Master, remembering the Teruah. So it says the following in the chapter 89, And this is in the verse 15. It says the following: Blessed are the people who know the sounding. The word sounding here is teruah. So let me read it again. Blessed are the people who know the teruah. They walk, O YaHuWaH, in the light of your face. Blessed are the people who know the teruah. They walk, O YaHuWaH, in the light of your face. We need to know the teruah. If we know the teruah, and what it means to know the teruah, if we connect with the previous verses, is to know the voice of the Master, is to know the teruah that is coming by the voice of the Master, Yahushua HaMashiach, that He is the one bringing the teruah in the day of YaHuWaH, bringing distractions over those that are destroying the earth, but also bringing blessings to all of those that are knowing the teruah, because they walk in the light of the face of YaHuWaH. And they are the ones that are going to endure until the end. And they are the ones that are going to inherit the kingdom of YaHuWaH here on earth. So that was the specific point that I wanted to share with you today, is that we need to know the teruah. We need to remember the teruah. We need to remember that this is part of the voice of our Master. And if we do so, we are going to be among those blessed by YaHuWaH that are going to inherit the promises. So, sometimes we get so, and I'm going to speak by myself, sometimes I get so entertained on the prophecies, on everything related to the distress and the Great Tribulation that somehow is connected to Yom Teruah, but also connected to what I said to the establishment of the kingdom of YaHuWaH, that we don't put focus on these small details, like the blessing of knowing the sound. There are maybe small details, but very important ones. Because what YaHuWaH is trying to do with His people is to establish that relationship as a father with a child, with his sons or daughters, to have that close relationship. And if we are able to have that close relationship, we are going to be able to know His voice. So it's important to put an eye on what's happening on the world in terms of the Great Tribulation and the meaning of this feast and the coming kingdom of heaven to the earth, but also taking a look on the deeper meaning of this feast in our inner us, understanding that YaHuWaH is trying to get at the point that He wants us to know His voice. He wants us to know the sounding. He wants us to remember that what's happened in the past with His voice being heard loudly by the people with the 10 words in Sinai is the same thing that we will hear it in the coming days or the future with the voice of Yahushua HaMashiach doing the teruah in order to bring salvation to us. So, brothers and sisters, this is what I wanted to share with you. I told you it's going to be a short broadcast. Let's take advantage that we are here. I have the chat open. If you want to mention, please go ahead before we finish this short live stream. Let's see what I see here. I blew my shofar, Chemtrail Mary. I blew my shofar and I couldn't stop laughing. It is so loud. My cat looked at me like I was crazy and ran for the hills. My neighbors were in the backyard. They were like, oh my. It happened something similar to us. We are in the field, in the countryside. And we have a neighbor with a lot of 60, no, but here. Yeah, he has around 100 cows, but here I think he has around 50, 60 cows. And we went in the morning and I started to blow the shofar. And it was funny because before the blowing the shofar, the cows were doing a very similar sound. We were laughing. And after we started to blow the shofar, the the cows remained somehow silent, and they were looking at us, and they were, in a long distance. Uh, but it was funny because we keep sounding the shofar, and most of the cows were started to look in our direction to trying to say that what's going on here. So it was a kind of similar situation what happened to you with the cat. So let's see what else we have here. By the way, thank you so much for joining me. I didn't give any short notice. It was at the end, a last minute to deciding to do this broadcast. So I hope that you have enjoyed what I have to share today. That is a blessing to you. And if you didn't manage to join live, but you are watching this video later on, I hope that the words that we have been sharing also has been a blessing to you. And as I said at the beginning, if you have not celebrated Yom Teruah today because you are following a different calendar, I hope you know these words and this sharing is also is going to bless you at the moment you are gonna keep the feast. As I always said, today we are in a process of learning. Is I think it's coming by the hand of YaHuWaH HaMashiach, the blessing of giving us the entire understanding of everything. And he is the one that is gonna keep us on the same days. He's gonna synchronize everything. And he's going to reveal the truth, and that's going to be a fantastic moment because all of us are going to be synchronized with the calendar, having one calendar and celebrating all together on the same dates. So let's see what else I have here. No more comments. Good. So, brothers, sisters, thank you so much for joining me today. If you are still having daylight and still celebrating the feast, as you can see, my window is already dark here, so they already finished for us. But you're still having daylight. I really hope in YaHuWaH that you will continue enjoying this day in His presence, singing to Him, celebrating, and most importantly, remembering. Keep in mind that this is also based on the book of Jubilees, a day of remembrance. And this is also an important connection, because if you read in the book of Jubilees about the days of remembrance connected to the flood, today itself is connected to somehow this the judgment that YaHuWaH brought to the earth. And how YaHuWaH was bringing in a day like this His restoration. So keep a look and read the book of Jubilees. I don't remember exactly in what chapter of the book it is, but look for the story of Noah and the flood, and you will see that in the first day of the 7th month is one of the day of remembrance, just to remember how YaHuWaH brought His judgment to the earth, but also how YaHuWaH brought His restoration to the earth. So it's a beautiful connection, especially to what I was sharing with you before. So thank you so much once again for joining me, and I send us our love to all of you, and I hope to see you and during the Shabbat in the Torah portion that we are sharing here in Light to the Nations. So in the meantime, many blessings to all of you. Have a wonderful end of the day and also a continuation of this week. See you on Shabbat, and let's keep our hope very up, very high, that these days are getting short, very short, and I do believe that we will start seeing the fulfillment of this plan from YaHuWaH soon. We already seen it in many ways. And actually, I was sharing, I was taking a look in a video on the news a few days ago that most probably I'm gonna share it in a different passage and a different video, sorry, with the a kind of prophecy update that is connected, to the alarm sounding Yom Teruah. So, and we know that this day is coming soon. That's why we need to keep the encouragement, as Paul said, with one another, understanding that as soon as we see persecution and the evil increasing, we know that Yahushua is coming sooner than we expect. So we need to be ready to remember these words and to remember his voice. So thank you so much, brothers and sisters. YaHuWaH be with you all, and see you on Shabbat. Chag Sameach.